You can't save anyone if you're drowning. You know, you don't start off your morning saying, oh my God, I've got to go to the office and send out this email or whatever. And so now all your attention is directed there.
Yes.
When you start with self, it's not selfish. It's not selfish to love yourself or to pour into yourself every day. It's required. When you are on a battlefield and you see people that have died and you see people that are dying, or you feel that your life is at risk, it sort of gives you this charge that if I ever get out of this situation, that I will enjoy life. You know, you can't just say this one size fits all.
Yeah.
You know, everybody is unique. They had something that influenced their growth and their development. And so I try to help them to find those things, find what's important to them, and then apply that to their change journey.
Yes.
When we feel good on the inside, we illuminate rooms. You know, we walk into rooms and people are like, oh, wow. You know, it's so important to love yourself and to think about yourself and to practice positive mental hygiene.
How do you connect your words, psychotherapy, which you'll have to expound what that is, but how do you connect psychotherapies with, if I come to you and I say, I'm just not feeling well, I just can't get out of the bed, my hair is falling out, my skin is breaking out, I'm gaining weight for no reason. How is what is physically manifesting within me connected to what's happening with my mental health? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is NHB Living, Natural Health and Beauty, formerly known as Curly Hair Crisis. I'm Miss Christy. You know me from this beautiful hair and talking all about fenugreek, but we are going from hair to health. It is so important because our beauty comes from within, and we are focusing on those 4 pillars. Remember, I told you, you got to know more about your sleep. We got to get our sleep. It's all about the nutrition, our diet, lowering our stress levels, and of course, fitness. And on top of that is our beauty routines. So I am so excited today to bring you someone that is amazing. He specializes in health and wellness, especially with the mental aspect. He has a beautiful space here in Washington, D.C., Evoke 101. We're going to learn more about that, as well as you see, we're going to learn more about this book that he has written to help. He's changed countless lives, transitioning, moving us into action, especially if you're stuck. I mean, a wealth of knowledge. He's really big on mental hygiene, and I'm not even sure how I feel about that. So we might have to dive in and ask those questions. But so I want you to help me welcome Dr. Larry Crenshaw.
Wow. Thank you, Christy. I don't even know how to follow up on that. Like, I mean, I'm just Larry. So I'm so excited to be part of your platform today. I do believe that mental hygiene and positive mental hygiene is the basis for enjoyment of life. You know, there's some of the posts that I put on social media. I always use a hashtag enjoy life. And it is something that I grabbed from an artist that I collect from. He would always sign his name and he would have N-I-N, joy, J-O-Y, life. And so the whole premise and the thoughts behind that is enjoy, there's life. And so I like that mantra.
Oh, we like the motto, enjoy life. So remember that when you think about just Larry. I'm gonna call him Dr. Larry because that's amazing. He has a wealth of experience. And because of that, and we're so excited about your passion that you have, and we want to learn more. So if you don't mind, can you take us on the journey? How did we get here today with you being this wellness and health? And I mean, where did that come from? How did you get here?
You know, it's there's a part of it that I won't share that's in my book, Change. And I believe that we all have stories.
Yes.
We all have stories of our journey and what leads us down the pathway that makes us to become who we are today. And so I will say that my journey has been rich. It has been a very rich journey where I've traveled and I've met some very wonderful people, and I've had some beautiful experiences. I will briefly share something that's in the book.
Please.
And that is that I think the foundation of my development stemmed from early entry into the military. And when I was in the military, I had the opportunity, or I had the charge to be a part of combat. And when you are on a battlefield and you see people that have died and you see people that are dying, or you feel that your life is at risk, it sort of gives you this charge that if I ever get out of this situation, that I will enjoy life. I will do whatever I dream that I want to do. And so I've worked at the Pentagon. I've worked for a Fortune 500 company, working with government officials and with CEOs and CFOs. But I was always interested in the human factor of it all, in understanding what people need and being able to help people to fill in the gaps. When I worked in corporate America, I had the opportunity to at one time be somewhat of a corporate storyteller. So telling the story of telecommunications and the history of telecommunications and how it applies to the people that they were working with and dealing with. And so I was so interested in how people felt and how some people felt like they were stuck. And I wanted to help them get unstuck. And so that is what led me down a road where mental health wellness became something that I was very curious and very interested in. And it led me to Evoke, and so, so this is where I'm at.
Okay, so that was good. You gave us a little teaser of how you've gotten here and always being curious about mental health. I would say with the work that you do here at Evoke, what are some of the common things that your clients bring to you as far as the assistance that they need? Yeah.
I think that one of the most common themes is an inability to achieve change or achieve some change type goal. And when I say achieve change, that could be connected to wellness. Maybe it's someone that suffers from obesity, or maybe it's someone who suffers from anxiety or depression. And maybe it's someone who is stuck in a professional space that they want to grow and develop, and they've been unable to achieve it. And so those are the clients that come to me. And I like to say that every person is unique in their experience. And so I use a combination of therapies. I use CBT. CBT is cognitive behavioral therapy. It is helping people to change the way that they think and believe. So it's, changing cognitions, it's changing maladaptive behaviors, and I say maladaptive, and that's behaviors that are not good for you. Basically, that's all it is. It's defining what's good and what's not good. And then applying, different practices so that you can move to a different space. But also being very in the person-centered theory of looking at each individual as unique again in themselves, but because of their uniqueness, then you have to use their story to help them to get to where they'd like to be. You know, you can't just say this one size fits all.
Yes.
You know, everybody is unique. They had something that influenced their growth and their development. And so I try to help them to find those things, find what's important to them, and then apply that to their change journey.
Oh, wow. Okay, so since we're in the health space and you help so many people with change, I'm just wondering if you can expound on this. So how do you connect your words, psychotherapies, which you'll have to expound what that is, but how do you connect psychotherapies with, if I come to you and I say, I'm just not feeling well, I just can't get out of the bed, my hair is falling out, my skin is breaking out, I'm gaining weight for no reason. How is what is physically manifesting within me connected to what's happening with my mental health?
Yeah. You know, I think that an awareness of where we are and what our challenges are the first place to start. And so if somebody presents themselves to me and they say, you know, I don't know what to do. I can't start. I'm stuck in the bed. You know, a lot of times those are indications of anxiety or depression. And, you know, some of my clients, because I don't do diagnosis, but I can. I'm educated to do diagnosis and I could diagnose someone. But, you know, I choose to work with clients that are ready to do something different. And when I say ready, you know, ready means that you are ready to put in the work that it will take for you to move from the position that you're in to another position, you know, that you've identified for yourself. You know, so I don't identify where you need to move to. You have to identify where you need to move to. You know, I'll give you materials and education and advice and I'll help you to define the work that you intend to do. Because it's like if you go to the gym and you have a trainer and the trainer's saying, okay, you need to do 25 burpees and you need to do 100 push-ups and you need to do, if that's not something that you want to do, you're not going to get the same results as the person who actually does that work. And so I help my clients to identify, well, what level of change do you want? And then, okay, at that level, then your expectations of work needs to fit that model. And so we'll start working together once they've identified the things that they want to do. They've identified their work. We'll start working together and then we'll come in, we'll do assessments and I'll say, so what did you achieve? You know, and let you be the person who does your own performance metric report. You know, so you're assessing your own performance. And then I can say, hey, well, Chrissy, you did this much work. Do you think if you've not achieved some of the results, maybe we want to redefine what your work might be? Or maybe you need to put in more work. Are you willing to do that? And so I like to say person-centered. It's about you. You know, and that's what I like to also repeat as a mantra with my social media post and with people that I talk to is it's about you. You know, your life is about you. I can't do work for you, and I can't deliver you to some secret place. Everything is influenced by your beliefs and what you want and what you desire and how much work you want to put into attaining the goals that you want to achieve. And so I try to help people to understand that and to apply that.
Oh, but we need you to do the work. That's a tough space. So right now, if someone is listening to this in their home and they're like, you know what, I'm ready. I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to lose that last 10 to 100 pounds. I'm ready to get up, get my mind right, find a business that drives my passion. They're saying that. So what are some things that they can start to do on their own if they feel like they are ready?
You know, so one of the things that I try to remind my clients and remind anyone who tells me that they're struggling is that it all starts with you. It starts with you and it ends with you. And so many times I find that people that are going through a change journey, they may look at their previous attempts and experiences as a predetermined outcome or predictor as to their inability to actually change. And so I say, well, if you start with something as easy as this, is every night before you go to bed, you decide what is the first thing of empowerment that you want to tell yourself the next morning. And so you write it down on a piece of paper. Don't put it on your phone. Don't put it on anything that can influence what you might see first.
Okay.
Put it on the side of your bed.
Okay.
Pick it up when you wake up in the morning and intentionally read that before you start anything. Because the energy that you put into yourself, the self-talk that you give yourself is the most critical in redefining how you shape your life. I'm really big on energy. And so if you take that energy and you say every morning, you know, I am Miss Christy Champagne.
Yes.
And I am the most successful in the change journey that I'm creating for myself. You know, and I can do whatever you want to insert there. When you start with that every morning, there's nothing that when you pick up the email that's from your boss that is going to shift your energy or the direction that you're going. You've already started pouring into yourself first. And so then they become secondary. You know, you don't start off your morning saying, oh my God, I've got to go to the office and send out this email or whatever. And so now all your attention is directed there. When you start with self, it's not selfish. It's not selfish to love yourself or to pour into yourself every day. It's required. You know, and so that's why I talk about mental health wellness as starting with mental hygiene. So starting with, you know, working on you every morning. Just like you take a shower, just like you do your hair, you put on your makeup in the morning. Do the same thing with your mental, you know?
That is so good. You said working on ourselves is not selfish?
It's not selfish, no.
Okay.
You know, has anybody ever told you, you can't save anyone if you're drowning? So, you know, I didn't make that phrase up. It's something that's been out there. But if you're drowning, the first thing you have to do is you have to stabilize yourself. So then you have the strength and the ability to help someone else. So start with self first, and then take that strength and the things that you've identified for yourself, then you can help someone else.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, well, thank you for what we can start. I know I've heard a lot about morning affirmations. I didn't see the statistics or the research on it. I thought it was like a motivational thing, and you know, but if it really does work, our self-talk, I'm all in for that, 100%. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the more of your movement therapy, because he does something with movement therapies. You mentioned psychotherapies, just all encompassing. So I'm definitely going to have the link in the description for you to contact Dr. Larry. But can you talk to us more about movement therapy? Because this is the first time that I'm actually hearing about that when we're talking about a mental health space.
Yeah. So when I was doing my research for my dissertation, initially I wanted to talk about the the power of movement therapy. And movement therapy is dance, it's cycling, it's running, it's yoga, it's meditation. It's all of the things that you did when you were a kid. You remember when you were a kid, you went to the playground and you played with your friends, and you went and you rode your bike all day, and it was your car. Like, ooh, I got my car and I'm going out with my friends. I remember for me, that was what I would do with my friends. But you were happy. Movement, it ignites these positive endorphins and it makes you feel good. And especially now that we are in a time where people are concerned about how they present themselves outwardly. Like they're concerned about their physical appearance as well as they're concerned about their mental appearance. So why not take the time to do something that you will enjoy that's going to help you physically, but will also help you mentally. I'm sorry. And so that's why I'm so drawn to movement therapy. So some of the clients that I have, they come in and I have a movement therapy space here in my office, and we do cycling, we'll do yoga, we do meditation together, but having still the same conversation. Maybe it's about their mental health wellness plan. Maybe it's about dealing with a difficult relationship. Maybe it's about their professional development. But we're moving at the same time. And, so they're thinking, and, it's like going back to that primitive part of who we are as people, and reigniting ourselves. So that's why I'm so very drawn to movement therapy.
So you have a session while we're exercising?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how I feel. I thought I could just lay on this couch and tell you what's going on. So wait, so maybe walking with a friend is good, or walking your dog?
Yeah, walking your dog. Dogs are very very good in promoting that positive reinforcement. So you see now people have dogs and they're emotional support dogs because they make you happy. So, I like to say that people who are having challenges, if they're mental health challenges, it's deciding what you'll do to promote a better wellness journey. Maybe it's playing soft music. I don't like being in traffic. So when I'm in the car, I make it very comfortable. I got my music playing. I won't tell you. It could be whatever music, whatever I'm feeling on that day. Yeah. But it supports me as I'm driving through traffic, and traffic in DC can be very, very bad. Goodness. Yes, I do. But you do things to promote a better experience for yourself. So you're less distracted by the things that you can't control, and you are using the things that you can control to create a better experience for yourself.
Oh my God. What? Okay, so you're going to have to share at least one or two success stories with us, so we have an understanding of how mental health and nutrition and your sleeping and your stress, like how is all of this connected? Because I know a lot of the people in my audience, they're really focused on their outward appearance, not understanding that it may, or there is a connection between how we talk to ourselves and what we think. It may show up outside. So can you just round that out so we can understand how all of this fits?
It goes back to the energy. It goes back to energy, positive and negative. And sometimes when we're at our lowest levels, we present that to people. You walk into a room and somebody will say, Chrissy, you don't look like yourself today. It shows on the outside when we're not feeling good on the inside.
Yes.
When we feel good on the inside, we illuminate rooms. You know, we walk into rooms and people are like, oh, wow. You know, like, you know, and that's what you want. You want people to, when you walk into the room, they remember you and they're like, oh, I love the energy that this person brings. If you're coming in and you're sad and your energy, your spirit is disrupted, then people will notice. And, you know, if it becomes something that's excessive, then you'll wonder, why are people not inviting me around? Well, it's just because your energy's off at that moment. So it's important to control our energy and in the spaces that we're in.
Oh, I like it. Okay. I like the fact that you said we show up and we illuminate the room. Ooh, when you feel good, then you look good, all of that happens. Now, before you tell us a little bit more about this book, because I do want to know more, I want you to tell us about the services, because I know the person who comes to look for you is ready to change. I know that. I'm not sure how we get to that point. You know, one day we're ready, and then the next day you might tell us we got to do this. We're not ready. You might tell us we're not ready. But, you know, tell us about the services, all of the things that you offer. How can you help?
Yeah, so I offer individual coaching sessions, and those are tailored specifically to whatever a person's needs are. And so, you know, so some of the work might be, you know, based in CBT again, or based in some other psychodynamic theory. But, you know, it will be defined by you and what you're experiencing and what you would like to achieve. Then I do couples relationship coaching, and movement, of course. And then I do some, workshops and groups, you know, some group sessions. We've had some really good group sessions.
Some team dynamics or family or...
you know, I've gotten a lot of women's groups that have come to me and I've actually presented to them. And we come in and I allow them to pick the topics. There's pre-work that I send out just to get a consensus of what people are experiencing, what they're thinking about, so that I don't just walk into a room of 20, 50 people and I'm talking about something that is not resonating with anybody in the room. And so, so those are the things that I do here at Evoke. And I do some community work. And in the community, I'm now working at a recovery center where, you know, the people obviously are not paying, but it gives me the ability to work with people at different levels of the community that also need care, that need support. And so I get a lot of reward, I think, from that community work.
That is so amazing. Well, you heard all of the things. So that is, do you support those who may be virtual? Do you offer virtual services?
Yeah, so I do like, you know, I do like people to come into my office because I've created what I think is just a very personal and I think luxurious experience. You know, I wanted wellness to be about something like you're treating yourself. You know, I want people to think about wellness in that way. You know, not as wellness as, oh my God, I'm going to the doctor, you know, and they're going to assess me and they're going to provide me with some diagnosis that I'm going to walk out and I'm going to be like, oh my God, I'm depressed or I'm whatever. I wanted people to feel like they were treating themselves to becoming more attuned with who they are. And so I do like people to come into the office, but I do understand that we are in a virtual world and people have challenging schedules and people may be across country. And so, yes, I do offer virtual sessions as well. So,
okay, that's good to know. We're going to take a tour. The space is amazing. like I told you when I came in, I was like, ooh, I like that. Wellness is luxury. Treat yourself. That's all that is. But tell us more about the book. Who is it for? Why would we read it?
Yeah.
How is this going to change my life?
So one of the things that was very important to me is that I think that, especially in this time of self-help and people are going to the internet and they're exploring different types of things, it was very important to me to have something that I could reach people that did not want to come into my space, or they did not want to to schedule a virtual session. They felt like they could do it on their own. So this is I can do this on my own, or it's something that could be supplemental to work that they're doing with myself.
Okay.
And so I just put together in a very, I think, easy and understandable way some of the important things that I think that people should consider when they're going through the change journey. So you've tried something and it didn't work, and so there are things that, one is my personal story, because I think that stories are very helpful in helping us to resonate with, I'm not in this alone. Other people have had similar situations or problems. So there's a story about myself and what I found that ignites me and what inspires me. If I've gone through this, I can do anything, and then there are stories of people that I've worked with. Now, their names are they're pseudo names.
Okay.
So I've changed the names of two persons that I've included in the book.
Yeah.
One is Katrina, and Katrina came in and she was on a weight loss journey, and we worked together. She had not found success in many of the attempts that she tried in changing, but when we worked together, she was able to come up with and define the work that she would do in order to reach change. So Katrina's one of the persons in there. And then there's another person in there, which I changed his professional role. But I will tell you that he is a very successful professional that is in his own business owner and what have you. But his change journey is in there. And so it really has some assessments. It has some call to actions inside the book. But it really is making people assess themselves. And then defining different things that they need to do or consider in their change journey.
Oh, wow. This just got real deep.
And it's not really deep, right? So I'll tell you, something that was important to me in doing this book, right?
Okay.
It was very important for me to share with the world, some of the philosophies that I practice inside of my practice. So what is he doing over there? What is he doing with people? But it was also important to share that there are people that have utilized these theories and they have achieved the results that they wanted. And so I wrote it in the voice of your uncle, your father, your cousin. I didn't want to be Dr. Larry Crenshaw. I wanted to be that person that you could talk to.
Yes.
And the empathetic stories, I wanted them to reflect the experiences that my clients had with me. So that's in the book, so I did not allow it to be heavily edited.
Okay.
And so, because I also wanted people, there's a book writer out there, but that book writer, that author that's out there, maybe they have gotten, maybe their dream of self-publishing or publishing has been extinguished because they've been through 10 revisions with an editor. I wanted to say that when you are finished with your work and you feel good about it, then you're ready to present it to the world. Never allow anyone to diffuse or to change the narrative of the story that you're trying to develop.
All right.
It was a comedian, and I can't think of his name right now, but I can think of his story.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he shared in his monologue was, the importance of being the star in your own movie.
Oh.
Now, if you allow someone else to come into your movie and to take on the role of the main character, you'll find yourself having conflict with people or feeling like they're overstepping or they have too much influence. Change is about putting yourself in first position and being the star of the movie or the book or the illustration of you that you will be able to enjoy life.
Yes. Ooh, that was good. I am excited. I might have to read this because you're just Larry, right?
Okay, yeah, just Larry.
We can relate to Larry. Dr. Larry's up here, but Larry is the one that we're talking to. Read this. So this has been so good. You've told us so much, and I've asked plenty of questions, but what do you really want to get across to someone listening to this that we have not discussed?
I think that the most important thing that I would like to share with your audience, if I can, that is, forget about everything that you've ever been told about being selfish in considering yourself. Think about your own wellness and your own mental health wellness. Yeah. Because you're the only one who is responsible for how you will experience life. Now, I'm not saying be selfish in everything that you do, but I'm just saying to pay attention to yourself. There's so much to find inside yourself, and all the answers are right there inside of you. Sometimes you might need someone like myself to help you to provide more focus and more clarity, but it's so important to love yourself and to think about yourself and to practice positive mental hygiene. Yeah.
Okay, all right, NHB family, formerly Curly Hair Crisis, this has been amazing. I hope you took all the nuggets because I did. I feel a way. I feel like I could be selfish now. I am not. I put a lot of people ahead. But now I feel like it's very important to do that. And I am going to take that piece where you said in the morning, I am going to start thinking about how I want to start my day and that focus I want. And I will write it down. I have everything in my phone just like everyone else. But Larry said that we should write it down. So I hope you got your notebooks. You got notebooks? Will we buy notebooks from you? We don't have? Where's your stuff? Oh, okay, well, it's luxury here. Right? Oh, yes, you should. You should have these things, as you said. And then we'll do that in the mornings. But thank you so much. This has been amazing. All of the information is down in the description. Before we go off into the trails, please tell us how to reach you. What is your social media? We want to connect now with Larry.
Yeah, so my office is Evoke 101. I'm located at 1234 19th Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. I'm right across the street from the Palm Restaurant, so if you want to have something good to eat. But my website is www.evoke101.com. My social media, I'm really active on Facebook. And so I post, these positive affirmations, or food for thought is what I call it. I post every day something for people to consider as they go into their day. And, sometimes it's on Instagram as well. So Larry Crenshaw is both on Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, nice. Wait, I didn't ask though, because you said Evoke. Where did the Evoke name come from?
The Evoke name came from, I was thinking about what should I name my practice, right? And I was like, okay, it's just going to be Dr. Larry Crenshaw, because, that was where my thoughts were. But then I thought about what I was creating, and I wanted to create a platform of empowerment. And so Evoke is about conjuring. You know, if you read the definition of evoke, it's about conjuring and calling to life, right?
Yes.
And so that's what I want my clients to think about as they're on their journey, or they're doing work with me, is how do I evoke what's inside of me in order to, you know, how do I use those strengths in order to make change a reality for them? So that's where Evoke 101, right? And you know, also because I used to teach at UDC in the evening, so that was part of my community service, and it was like a 101 business class, and so I was like, okay, you know, it's my platform. It's a teaching experience, so it's psychoeducational, you know. So I was like, okay, Evoke 101, right?
I love
101.
it. Okay. You have lived many lives. It better be all in this book. That's all I'm saying.
There's only the one chapter which is long, which is kind of a long chapter, like an introduction, that's about me, right? Because it was important that change is about you, right? Yeah. So if you notice, my picture is not on the front of this book, right? I did not want to decide what you should think about when you open this book. I wanted you to think, Change, a guide to achieving life goals, right? And so I only have it in hardback, and that was intentional because I wanted to be like personal, but I wanted to be something that if you read it today and you get something out of it, you can put it up on the shelf and you can come back to it later and it won't be all torn up, right? And so I wanted that personality, but I also wanted, if you felt like you read it and it might help somebody else, that you could pass it on to somebody else and it would still be bound.
Yeah.
Again, it's about you, it's not about me.
It is.
And so the first chapter is about my experience because I thought that was important, but all the rest is about you. And it's calling to action for you to take into consideration the things that you believe, the support system that you have, the work you're willing to do, the assessment of yourself. You know, so everything is about you. It's not about me.
Oh my goodness, I feel like it's a great workbook for a group.
Yeah.
Just do
so,
it.
you know, somebody asked me if I had a workbook to
Yes.
accompany it. So that was one of the charges that I got when I was in the authors literacy circle at the Congressional Black Caucus this past year. Somebody said, you need to develop a workbook. So maybe that will come.
That comes next.
Yeah.
And aside from the workbook, then your story. Because now we want to know your story. Because we can see ourselves through you know, because you have stories. These guys stories. So, but thank you so much. Again, the information is in the description. I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, all of the things that we are working on, our mental hygiene is so incredibly important. Dr. Larry, or just Larry, is here. He would help you with your coaching as a mental health and wellness advocate. And you can always find a coach in your area. If not, but we're going to take a quick tour before we log off. But I hope to see you soon. Do my pan. As you walk in the space, look at this. Oh my goodness.
And so this is my movement therapy space.
There is movement therapy.
So I've got my cycling bikes, my yoga mats.
Oh my goodness. But it's so luxurious. There is a fireplace with, you can't put these things together. But somehow you made it work. It doesn't feel like a gym. I thought it was going to feel like a gym. It doesn't. It's very intentional space. Look at this. But look at the view when you walk in. It is the same. I love all of the art pieces. It is so calming. And the colors that you chose.
The colors,
oh my gosh. Yes.
The little dogs, they look just like regular greyhounds, but that is Italian greyhound gray. So that was the inspiration for that.
It's got the
these. And what is the story with you've done some traveling?
Yeah, so all of these are from Africa. So they are. A friend of mine came in the other day, and she talked about, why do you have so many weapons? But yeah, they are of African origin.
That is so hilarious. It's not even safe in the office anymore. It's giving. It is luxury. You're going to want to come in instead of calling. You don't want to do the Zoom call. Not with Larry. He say just Larry, but then you walk into space, you're like, oh. Oh, but this is nice. Thank you so much.